Is there a limiting belief that you might have right now? And get really real for a minute. I know I have a lot of them, so just find one. We'll dive into one. So while you're diving into one limiting belief, you might have thought of something you want to do, but then you have a limiting belief why you can't do it, right? So through these studies at Harvard and Stanford, it's become proven that those who take on a growth mindset achieve more success and see more results in all areas of their lives. So this isn't just maybe this will be great for you to take on a growth mindset. It is proven that you will be more successful, that you will have growth in your life. And welcome to the Danette May Show, where you'll receive profound breakthroughs, courage to break old patterns, and live into your soul's purpose. Each week, I will bring you epic guests and live coaching to remind you of your power. You have the ability to achieve extraordinary things, and the time to start is now. To me, that means you will be happier. So what they've found is that there are two characteristics in these mind modalities. And this is all neuroplasticity, you guys. This is our neurons that are being splayed out through the brain through our upbringing, okay? The first one is belief. Belief. What do you believe? Do you believe that you are born with something? You either have a bad deck of hands of cards or you have a good deck of hands of cards? Do you believe that some people are born with intelligence and others are not? Do you believe that some people are destined to make X amount of money and others are not? What is your belief system? And I'm going to really dive into specific ways we can unravel this and really start stepping into action steps to get into a growth mindset. But the first step is awareness, and that's what we're doing right now, being really aware. So belief, and then the second one is focus. So what's going on with focus? A fixed mindset person, they are more concerned, so they're focused on how they look and if how other people are perceiving them. Primarily, do I look bad? Is this going to make me look bad? Teenagers are notorious for this because the brain isn't fully developed, and there's this feeling of I've got to fit in, and so they're more worried about fitting in and not looking bad, and that's a fixed mindset. Yeah, so they're focused more on how are they going to look, and ultimately not looking bad versus focusing on process of growth. They look at effort as a negative thing. Think about that. Anytime you have to really do a lot of effort, it means that you're not good at it. So that's a bad thing. So that's how their mind works. They get discouraged when they make mistakes. So if a coach, a friend, or a parent tries to give them criticism or feedback, they take that as a defensive. They take offense to it. It doesn't feel good to them. They feel like they failed. And they usually give up earlier when something feels hard because they don't want to look bad. Now, I want you to really listen to what I just said about all this fixed mindset. Is there areas in your life where you are more worried about how you're going to look or how you're going to be presented? So I don't want to try that because if it doesn't turn out, then I'll look like I failed or that I'm just this wishful thinker. And when someone gives you a really good friend or a family member or a coach gives you feedback, do you take criticism of it? Do you take offense? Do you give up early? When something feels tough or there has to be some type of effort, you look at that as negative. Should be easy. I should be in flow. Right? So just check. This is about awareness right now. Now, a growth mindset person, they usually like feedback. They're asking for feedback. They're asking for criticism because they look at that as an opportunity to shift, to pivot, to grow to the next level. Mistakes are just learning opportunities. That's how they see it. It's just, okay, it's just more feedback going in a different direction. They take on a challenge and persevere because they believe they can grow. And they're not thinking about how they look. They're just worried about growing. So, of course, they're more receptive to any type of feedback. Now, it really boils down to two different things, belief and focus. Now, usually we have one or the other that we're stronger on. That's why I want to ask you, when you think about what you focus on, are you thinking and focusing on Yes, I can do this. How do I do it? What are the steps? I'm going to go this way. Or are you focused on, oh, how is that going to look? Who am I going to be affecting? I don't think I can do that. I don't think I have that in the cards. I don't think I'm that connected. Definitely too old. I don't have that and that to make that happen. Really check yourself. Now I want you to, I asked you to write down your limiting belief, right? What is your limiting belief? What is one that's been coming up? A lot of times people might write down that I am not enough, or that I'm not pretty enough, or I don't have enough money to do that, or you know what, I'm just not that connected. So as you come up with your limiting belief, I want you to reflect on what has that limiting belief cost you in the past? And I'm going to have you journal on this for a minute while we're sitting here. What does that cost you in the past? So for example, if I took on a limiting belief back in the day, this is not my limiting belief anymore, but I really worked on this of having a business and being a successful businesswoman means that I'm not a good mom. It was passed on to me by my family and I took it on. Now, what did that limiting belief cost me? It cost me feeling like I was like in no man's land because I was wanting to be really successful in business. That is, I am driven in that regard. It lights me up. I love business. I like talking business. I like growing businesses that are impacting people. So if I have that belief and I'm heading in that direction because it lights me up, then I'm constantly shrinking and like trying to be defensive as a mother and trying to like build up on this lack that was never there. Then my children feel it and they're like, why are you acting like that? And why are you feeling like that? And then it makes them wonder if something's wrong with them, right? Can you see how this all affects? So that limiting belief was costing me my relationships, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my children. And then you're going to ask yourself, what having this limiting belief, is it costing me today? I see what it's done in the past. What is it costing me today if I keep this limiting belief? If I were to keep this limiting belief and I have this really successful business right now in my life, it's definitely making me feel like a massive failure as a mother. And is that even true? No. But until I get into awareness of, right, you can't unravel it and see the lies that are mixed inside this limiting belief. And then the third question, if I keep this limiting mindset, what is it going to cost me in the future? What is it going to cost me in the future? So I'm going to keep my example that I just shared with you. It would cost me either I would have to choose. I wouldn't be able to do both my business and be a mother. I would have to make a choice and one would go out the door because of my limiting belief systems, not because it's true, but because I believe that it's true. Therefore, I would let go of one or the other, or I'd feel like a failure in both. I'd feel pulled. I'd feel like a failure. Then I would, if I chose just motherhood, then I would feel resentment and they would feel that and they'd be like, mom's miserable. And I'd be angry and I would be short fused depending on what I chose. I really want you to look at what is your limiting belief? What has that limiting belief cost you in the past? What is it costing you now? And if you hold on to it in the future, what will it cost you in the future? Keep writing if you're writing and try not to let my words get in the way. Some of you, I think there might be a few of you that feel like you have no idea what to write. Start with that limiting belief right there. I don't know what to write. I don't know what my limiting beliefs are. I don't know how to do journaling. I don't know how to write my deep feelings. Start with that belief system that you have. Start there. And then what is that costing you in your past? If you don't even really know what you're limiting, then you have all these blind spots, right? So then you're just like wisping in the wind, right? You're doing whatever life wants to present you. You're definitely an autopilot. If you can't decipher, right? I'm being really harsh in a way because I want you to be able to recognize when I see you guys write in and go, I don't know what to write about. I don't know how to journal. That's a limiting belief in and of itself, just as much as a belief system saying, I don't know how to handle technology. There's no difference in someone who's, I don't know how to operate technology. I don't know all these new gadgets. Trust me, I get you. But that's no different than someone who's, I don't even know how to write. Like, where do I even start? Like, how do I even dive into my feelings? Oh, you know how, you just have a limiting belief that's holding you to it. So let's go there. Let's start with that one. What's it costing you right now? It's costing you not being able to get real with yourself, not getting real with the growth that's wanting to come and express through. And if you continue down, it's going to make it very difficult for you to continue to grow and to be in this growth mindset. And we're not coming up with a solution today, you guys, right in this second. We're coming up to awareness, because awareness is the growth. And sometimes our limiting belief systems can be that if I'm not fixing it right now, then I haven't grown. And then we just get into this like perfectionism, imposter syndrome that happens. And then we're just in a standstill because we can't do something perfect and I can't fix it. Then why even go there? Right? So then you're at a standstill and you're just letting life happen at you, and you're not controlling and directing the course of your life. So I want us to start with the most simplest limiting beliefs. I don't know how to journal. I don't even know how to find my limiting beliefs. That is a good starting spot, right? And then we can do this today and get into awareness of that. And then we can go to the next thing. We're not here to fix ourselves. Like I said, creating a growth mindset is not an event. It's a process. And my goal is to teach you this process and have you get into this and really think about it. So how I'm going to be doing it, because I want to live in a growth mindset. I choose to live in a growth mindset. I choose to continually grow. Just recently, someone on my team, because tech is not my thing, and I had a story to say, I am not a tech person. And I still say it. I still have to catch myself. And they were like, I get it. You don't enjoy tech, but there are certain things you need to learn to operate your business and to communicate with your team. Were you willing to learn? And I was, and they taught me, and I'm implementing it slowly, and it's going to continue to be a process. I'm not super organized when it comes to tech. You should see my email, like 2,000 unread emails. Like, I think there was like 1,000 texts unread at one time. My husband's like, how do you even have friends? Do they even know you're alive? It's not my natural go-to, but it doesn't mean I can't get better at it if I want to grow in business, if I want to grow in my relationships, right? If that's the way they need to be communicated with. So just checking ourselves, right? Checking all the time. And then what I'm going to be doing is journaling on it, checking the limiting thoughts just come up during the day. If I just was hanging out with my team and I'm like, hey, I'm not that tech person, checking myself and saying, you know what? I'm willing to learn how to be better at tech versus I'm just not a tech person. Change it on a dime. I am actually more connected than I realize. I am open to people coming into my life that are unexpected for miracles. Can you feel that energy shift of just changing some of your words? This morning, and this is why I talk about affirmations in every book, every coaching that I do. It's because we are programmed human beings, whether we want to admit it or not. We are spiritual beings, but we are also very programmed. And these thoughts are not God-given. These thoughts are programmed. And sometimes they are beneficial, and sometimes they are totally detracting us from our highest potential. That's why I am constantly doing affirmations, because I recognize that I'm going to have roughly 50,000 thoughts in one day. You're going to have roughly 50,000 thoughts in one day. And I'm not going to be 100% about it. There's going to be times when I'm negative, times when I'm saying things in my mind on a quick whim of, I'm not a tech person, or I'm tired, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'm blah, 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 whatever been programmed in my brain. We are programmed humans. So in the morning, I'm always repeating my affirmations. I'm trying to prime my brain to go in that direction. I am enough. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am connected. I receive wisdom. I'm trusting in the process of life. I'm just saying whatever will come out of my mouth, trying to reprogram my brain first thing in the morning. Okay. So Can you write in your journal right now? Am I willing to prime my brain in the morning? Am I willing to prime my brain at night? It's small hinges move big doors. I love that quote because it is so true. And it doesn't mean that these small hinges aren't doing a heavy load. They are. Working on your mindset is a heavy load. It is. And it's not going to always go perfect. Life is still going to deal some of its craziness, and it's hard and it's sucky sometimes. It just is. Life is going to do that regardless. Because this fixed mindset is, oh, that's going to be really hard. Yeah, probably. But you get to go, am I afraid of the hard because I'm afraid of looking bad? Am I still in my teenage years afraid of what my neighbor thinks or my sister-in-law? Or am I still worrying about everybody else and how I am perceived? Or am I directed? And I like using this for myself, and you choose what works for you. You could say higher power source. I like to be like, you know what? I'm linked with God and I'm going this direction. And I know it's not going to make sense to all these other humans sometimes, but this is my direction. Okay. So you find what works for you, what resonates for you. A lot of us are afraid of the hard because we are afraid of failing. That means we're in this focus of how is it going to be perceived to everyone else? And you're afraid that you're a failure if you're having mistakes or if you don't succeed. When a growth mindset is, oh, it's just information. It just means I have to go this direction now. It just means I have to go this way. That it doesn't mean I failed. I'm not a bad person or unworthy. It just means, oh, okay, thank you for the feedback. Bumped into a wall. Guess I got to go the other way. Think about walking in a maze. Let's all put ourselves in a maze, one of those big corn mazes. Maybe it has walls on it. I don't know how many of you have been in a maze. I've only been in 2 mazes my whole life. But if I'm in a maze, because we think of a maze as a fun game, but think about life is a game. Florence Scovel talked about, you guys should read her book, Florence Scovel Shin. She wrote about the game of life. I love this book. It's $3 on Amazon. But if we were to go into a maze, if we were walking and we're like, okay, I'm going to go this direction, and we hit a dead end, we wouldn't be like, I'm so stupid. I am not finishing this maze. I am a really dumb human. I can't believe I went this direction. You would turn around and find a new way, right? We get to look at life like this, right? We get to just keep trying and keep looking for a new way, right? And at dead ends or something not happening is just feedback. So the second thing you're going to do, so we talked about, we're really just becoming aware. What's our belief system? What's our focus? Those are the 2 things when we are looking at whether you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Then you're going to look at your limiting belief. You're going to write out, what has it been costing me? What is it costing me now? And if I keep a hold of this, what's going to cost me in the future? So you're in awareness of. And then the third thing is just checking yourself. Where do you say limiting beliefs? And then where can you stop them in that track and say an opposite statement? I do this all the time. I'll be talking with a girlfriend. I'll be talking to my children. I'll be talking to my spouse. And if I say something that's like I'm placing a belief on myself that doesn't really serve me, I'll stop it. I'll be like, actually, I am this. So for example, I'm not good at tech, just not a tech person. Oh, I'm learning how to become stronger at tech. Stop that. Whoa, I'm getting better. I just don't have those connections. If I was talking about, I just don't have those connections. I don't have those type of friends. Actually, I trust that if I put out my intention, the right connections will be coming. I believe in a divine power. I trust in the process of like changing it right there on the spot, getting really key. So this next week is really about becoming aware of your thoughts, stopping them and shifting them if they're not serving you. Are we all on the same page to do that this week? Yeah. So someone wrote in and said they're afraid of letting their children fail. I want to call you out. I think you're afraid of you failing. And if your children fail, then you might think you're a failure. I actually think that a lot of us moms are projecting onto our children because deep down, we don't want to be perceived as the failure. I'm speaking it real, right? If my kid does that and fails, then what does that say about me as a mom? Right? If my kid makes those choices, what does that mean about me as a mom? How does that look for me as a mom? Check yourselves. Because ultimately we use our children as projections because we don't want to do the deeper work. Yeah. Because I really want to bring it home to us. A lot of this projecting that we do on our husbands or our spouses, on our family members, and especially our children, comes deep down. We don't want to fail. What does that make me look like? And we do love our family members. We do love who we love. It's not fun seeing them do things that see that this could be a rough patch for you. You know what? Sometimes you just need to be checking yourself. Where, like, every time, I'm going to be so real, every time my 18-year-old does stuff that I'm like wanting to vent to Craig about, because all of us moms and parents do this. We're like, I can't believe they think like that. We're like out on a hike talking about her. I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I do that? Where do I behave like that? Where do I upper limit or self-sabotage in my own life? Turn it back onto you, because here's the deal. We're all energetic. And if you start focusing on you and you becoming better and not worrying about you becoming better at not self-sabotaging, you becoming better at having a growth mindset, you becoming better at checking your thoughts and your actions, you focus on you and your children are going to watch that. They're going to feel that. But we're so good at focusing on everybody else and how they should shift and change when we need to be focusing it on ourselves. And they'll watch. They are watching, they are learning, they are seeing, and your actions of yourself and you being an impeccable with your word to yourself is going to speak volumes to whatever you want to say to them. They can't even actually really hear it, especially if you're a hypocrite, because you're not living it yourself. Trust me, your kids know about all the dreams that you're not stepping into. They know about where you self-sabotage. They know when you talk not nice to yourself. I think it's so easy for us to look at our spouses and our children and be like, if only them, when if we just spent more time focusing on our own growth, that stuff wouldn't even probably bother us, because we're like, whoa, I've got a mile high stack of my own stuff to like sift through. I can't even think through your stack. Does that make sense? And I love you. And I say this with all the greatest love, but I like to serve it up very real. So how do you correct it? So a lot of people are asking, like, how do I correct this? It's a process, not an event. First off, knowing it's a process and not an event to correct it. Sorry, you don't get to pop a pill and correct it. Okay, we're in that society as well. So just being like, okay, I'm going to do the work. And I just laid out the steps, you guys. Okay, I just laid out the steps and I'm going to lay them one more time so you guys can really like integrate this. First step is checking yourself on your focus and on your belief systems. Do I believe that I am destined for growth? Do I believe my children are destined for growth? Do I believe anyone's destined for growth, or they're just fixed and programmed and that's how they're going to be? What's my belief system for myself ultimately? And where is my focus? Is my focus on pleasing other people? Is my focus on how I'm going to be perceived, ideally not in a bad way? And so that's where my focus is. Or is my focus on getting to that thing and knowing I can do it, even if I hit dead ends, even if something doesn't turn out the way as I'm going to get there? And really looking at, okay, when someone gives me criticism, or if I feel like I have to give effort, do I back away from effort? A lot of us are backing away from any type of effort or anything that feels like change, just like writing with our right hand and I'm asking you write with the left. We just are like, no, that's so hard. I'm going to stay with my right. It's no different with coming with a growth mindset. You're going to have to really catch your thoughts and then re-say them. Catch your thoughts, re-say them. You're just writing with that left hand over and over again with your mind. right? It's just that same type of, it's not in flow right away. It's going to feel like that. So when you have a fixed mindset, when there's an effort involved and you feel like, oh, I'm not getting this, you've got to recognize, oh, I'm doing that. It's going to be sucky. It's going to feel hard. It's going to feel uncomfortable at times, but I'm willing to keep going. And that's just feedback for more growth. It doesn't mean that I'm bad. It doesn't mean I'm terrible at it. It doesn't mean that I'm unworthy. It just means I got to keep plugging along. So you can use the analogy of right hand writing or going in a maze in life. And do you hit the dead end and then curl up a ball and cry and not finish the maze? No, you got to get out of the maze. Okay. And then I gave you the assignment of checking your limiting belief and then really looking at what that limiting belief has it cost me? What is it costing me now? What will it cost me? Meaning, what will happen in my life if I hold on to this limiting belief? What's happening now in my life because of this limiting belief? And what has it done for me in the past? A lot of times it's created certain relationships. It's created inaction. It's created choices that you're like, I'm here right now. And trust me, I have had so many limiting beliefs get me to my now moments that I'm like, dang, I'm here. I got to figure out how to go here. And what do I need to shift within my mind? Because it's usually not about shifting your home, people, external objects. It's usually about shifting here first, and those external objects will shift themselves. So much easier than moving house, moving friends, doing all these other outside action stuff where you're like putting all your energy here, you put it here, shift internally. And a lot of those things just shift naturally. And then some of them will stay and you have to like address that. But a lot of them will just start to like shift naturally, which is beautiful. A lot less effort. It's not less effort, it's just different effort. Okay. And then the last step after you've done that work is just being in awareness. You're checking your thoughts. You're checking your vocal words and your thoughts. And when you have one that's not serving you, that's a limiting belief, it's a fixed mindset, autopilot, auto default mode, neuroplasticity thought or words that coming out, which is words are just thoughts coming out, you shift it. So just practicing that shift, noticing, practicing, bumping against that wall and being like, dang, gotta move. Bumping against the wall, dang, I gotta go down the other way, bumping. It's a little bruising. The first time I did it, I was like, I always thought I was a positive person. Oh my gosh. It was really enlightening. It was enlightening for me. I think I first started at 5 or 6 years ago and I was like, wow, I have some work to do. So love it. How are you guys feeling? How are you feeling? We're going to focus so much on ourselves and our own pile of stuff that we get to look at and work on versus everyone else in our lives and all their stuff and what they should work on. We're going to turn it inward and work on ourselves. Our kids are going to be like, dang, what did you do this week? I'm feeling like a lot of pressure off myself. Remember, this is a process. So let's do this every day. I love you guys. I appreciate each one of you. Every single morning when I get ready, on the days I get ready, some days I don't get ready. But if I'm doing my hair and makeup, I always turn on something uplifting, something inspirational, some type of growth message. You can do the same thing, washing dishes, cleaning up the house, tidying, put on something that's growth mindset. And watch your life, one tick, one hinge at a time, create miracles in your life. It's usually the small things we do consistently that make the biggest difference. I believe in you. I love you. Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful summer day to be here. Thank you for putting in the effort. Thank you for showing up. Love you guys.